indivisible, like the lines of a couplet that would lose their meaning out of context. Their names might as well have been one name, Cora and Nova. So seldom were they spoken separately, and when they were, they sounded incomplete, like one half of a mussel shell, cracked open and ripped in two. They were each other's person, each other's place. They didn't need magic to read each other's thoughts, only glances, and their hopes were twins, even if they were not. They stood side by side, braced together against the future. Whatever life might force on them, and however it might fail them, they knew they had each other. And then the Mizarthim came back. Nova was first to see. She was on the beach, and she'd just straightened up to swipe her hair out of her eyes. She had to use her forearm, since she held her gaff in one hand and flensing knife in the other. Her fingers were cramped into claws around them, and she was gore all the way to her elbows. She felt the sticking drag of half-dried blood as she drew her arm across her brow. Then something glinted in the sky, and she glanced up to see what it was. "Cora," she said. Cora didn't hear. Her face, blood-streaked too, was blanched with numb endurance. Her knife worked back and forth, but her eyes were blank, as though she'd stowed her mind in a nicer place, not needing it for this grisly work. An ool carcass hulked between them, half-flayed. The beach was strewn with dozens more carcasses, and more hunched figures like theirs. Blood and blubber clotted the sand. Keers skirled, fighting for entrails, and the shallows boiled with spikefish and beaked sharks drawn to the sweet, salty reek. It was the slaughter, the worst time of year on Rieva, for the women and girls anyway. The men and boys relished it. They didn't wield gaffs and knives, but spears. They did the killing, and hewed off the tusks to carve into trophies, and left all the rest where it lay. Butchering was women's work, never mind that it took more muscle and more stamina than killing. "Our women are strong," the men boasted from up on the headland, clear of the stink and the flies. And they were strong, and they were weary and grim, trembling from exertion, and streaked with every vile fluid that leaks out of dead things, when the glint caught Nova's eye. "Cora," she said again, and her sister looked up this time, and followed her gaze to the sky. And it was as if, though Nova had seen what was there, she couldn't process it until Cora did too. As soon as her sister's eyes fixed on it, the shock rocked through them both. It was a skyship. A skyship meant Mizarthim, and Mizarthim meant escape. Escape from ice and ooze and drudgery, from Skoya's tyranny and their father's apathy, and lately, sharply, from the men. Over the past year, the village men had started pausing when they passed, looking from Cora to Nova and Nova to Cora, like they were choosing a chicken for slaughter. Cora was 17, Nova 16. Their father could marry them off any time he pleased. The only reason he hadn't yet was because Skoya, their stepmother, was loath to lose her pair of slaves. They did most of the work, and looked after their troop of little half-brothers too. Skoya couldn't keep them forever, though. Girls were gifts to be given, not kept, or more like livestock to be sold, as any father of a desirable daughter on Rieva was aware. And Cora and Nova were pretty enough, with their flax-fair hair and bright brown eyes. They had delicate wrists that belied their strength, and though their figures were secret under layers of wool and oolhide, hips, at least, were hard to conceal. They had curves enough to keep sleeping furs warm, and were known to be hard workers besides. It wouldn't be long. By deep winter, surely, when the dark month fell, they would be wives, living with whoever made their father the best offer, and no longer with each other. And it wasn't just that they'd be split apart, or that they had no will to be wives. The worst thing of all was the loss of the lie. What lie? This is not our life. For as long as they could remember, that was what they'd told each other, with and without words. They had a way of looking at each other, a certain fixed intensity, that was as good as speaking it out loud. When things were at their worst, in the middle of the slaughter, when it was carcass after carcass, or when Skoya slapped them, or they ran out of food before they ran out of winter.